the point where we have 14 petitions out of 26 that have been tabled. They've all failed, or they've retracted their petition, or they've not submitted their petition. Basically, more than half of the petitions have failed. What do you make of the results of those campaigns?
Right. So I think the first thing we need to remind ourselves is the hurdle of these campaigns are set up to fail. So it's really critical that people understand that despite the fact that we knew that these are extremely difficult, we basically need election level activity without election level spending and education. We were doing this in the face of the likelihood of their failure, reminding people that only 5% of the population is needed to be potentially asking to separate from our province, but to hold your MLA to account requires almost 40% of the population. So people should understand that the challenge that was put ahead of us was extremely high and we needed a lot of participation. So I think people should understand that if they didn't participate, they should question why they didn't. And if it was necessary, considering that we're seeing this separatist movement happening and we're looking at a real economic crisis coming. So this to me is just one of the pieces. And the one thing I do want to say about my campaign in particular is that I started in January of 2025. So the reason why my campaign was as successful as it was, I mean, obviously the education minister was a focus of ours for a very good reason, but it's also because I had the opportunity to educate my constituency ahead of this campaign. So I think the numbers just speak to the capacity of the community to be aware and willing to push back. I'm really proud of Calgary Bow for making the statement that we did. 17% of the population is an incredible achievement. Super proud of that, and I know we're just moving forward now.
Mm-hmm. Taking into account all the petitions, you guys are the first, you got 40% of the numbers necessary to force a recall vote, which is the most successful, we would say, in the province. So you think it basically boils down, in your case, to having started early and then the strike kind of putting your campaign in the spotlight? Or you think it's just that you were organized, you were organized for a long time?
I would say it's everything, right? I think the strike, I looked at this campaign as an opportunity to support the teachers in the negotiations. I told myself that this threat of a recall would be helpful in moving the negotiations forward for the teachers, and potentially I needed to be prepared for the whole notion of the recall petition to just fade away. But that's not what happened. This government is not operating inside the rule of law, and they persisted, and they triggered 24 legitimate recall petitions, even though they blocked one of them themselves. So I think it's really important to understand that this is their doing that made the recall movement grow as much as it did. I've seen a lot of people show a tremendous amount of courage in running these campaigns. This has not been easy. In fact, many of these campaigns have now had to run in opposition to a separatist agenda and have had threats, face those regardless. So I would say those threats probably had a number of reasons why potentially the numbers were impacted as well.
I don't know what Nicolaitis did in particular, but some MLAs are taking this as a win. Like the petitions failed against them, and so that means that they have a mandate from electors to pursue what they were doing until the next election. How do you think MLAs should react to the result that we see right now?
First of all, I think what they're saying and what they're doing are two different things, as per usual. My MLA has sent out 4 different messages to constituents during and since the recall started. It is very clear that they are frightened about this movement, and they should be. This is a clear demonstration. This is a record of people who are opposed to what they're doing. And I would say that record is coming from people who have voted for them. I've heard this across the recall aisle, if you will, that people are signing and saying this, I voted for this party and this is not what I voted for. People understand that this is nefarious actors at the helm, and that's who are signing this recall. This required people to be aware themselves. We didn't have the capacity to reach people in the time frame that we were given with the money that we had available to us. I'll be clear, my campaign was around a $7,000 campaign. So that's, $1 per signature, if you will. this is the access to cash that we don't have. And I'm curious, it'll be interesting to see where this separatist campaign lands in terms of what they've spent per signature.
In the last few months, we've seen, as you said, 24 campaigns against UCP MLAs, 2 against NDP MLAs. Before that, there was the recall Gondek petition a few months ago. Do you think that recalls are a new way of doing politics in Alberta, and that it's going to become more and more common? We're going to see that every few years pop up movements for whatever reason may be.
It's feeling like this citizens petition is the beginning of something. What I'm working on personally is a participatory democracy tool to help have engagement from Albertans in driving policies and platforms, rather than the other way around, where political parties are telling us the direction to go. And that's going to require the population to speak into this. To me, I see a massive shift required in Alberta where we put the power back in the hands of the people. And that's what we're seeing through all of these initiatives. Let's remember the recall movement is just one piece of the puzzle. We have the Forever Canadian movement that's moving into its second phase. We have the Treaty 6, 7, and 8 chiefs declaring a vote of non-confidence against this government. Alberta Federation of Labour has a workers' agenda that they're working on. All of us are working not only to move into the next phase beyond this first effort of a citizen initiative, but we are working together and collaboratively. We're hoping to have 1 million Albertans on the street on May 29th. And, if that's not a statement to this government that they need to be concerned, I don't know what is.
And maybe last question for me, but which issue would you say resonated more with the people that signed your petition? Is it that Demetrios Nicolaides was Minister of Education during the strike and the government's action? Or it was that people felt he was not in the constituency? Like, what convinced people to sign in your experience?
I would say I did hear a variety of things, but the one thing that really stood out was the use of the notwithstanding clause. People are very aware that their rights have been taken from us and that we have to fight to get it back.
Great. Is there anything else you want to add on today's topic?
On today's topic, no, but I do want to say my heart goes out to the people of Iran, and I'm very saddened by our Prime Minister in his automatic support of this illegal and unconstitutional war.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Thanks for taking the time to talk with me today.
Thank you so much for your time.